Hi, and welcome to Chef's Review Live, a program where we discuss current problems of modern hospitality. My name is Michael Lowski. Let's get started. So first, let me remind you, this program is streamed live, so I encourage you to ask questions, fire away, anything that comes into your mind. The more questions, the better we will cover the subject. And today's subject is comfort food versus fine dining. What is comfort food, what is fine dining, and whether you can combine these two. So first of all, comfort food. What is comfort food? It's basically, as the name suggests, it's easy, simple, delicious, tasty, fragrant, but still simple and, well, kind of cheap. What is fine dining? It's what you know from the best of the best restaurants. So it's really good looking, it's small portions, it's really intricate garnishes, sophisticated preparing methods, and so on. So it's always the same questions all over again. What brings more money? What is more difficult? What is the best way to start a business? Well, first of all, let me just tell you, whether it is comfort food or fine dining you decide on going for, it's basically the same challenge. What it means? Well, basically, when you go for comfort food, well, you have cheaper costs, well, lower costs, cheaper ingredients. You don't need stuff that is so qualified. So let's be honest. A chicken schnitzel doesn't take a master chef to cook, all right? So you don't need to pay that much for your stuff. I mean, like, obviously you have to pay the right wages, but, if you do fine dining, you require very qualified staff, a lot of experience, and it obviously costs more money. Same with ingredients for fine dining. You can't just take anything local from the supermarket. You have to source your ingredients, make sure you make everything very, very nice and beautiful. Every step costs money. Every little bit of effort extra that you put into your meal costs money, whether it is work hours, whether it is ingredients, everything has its cost. So if you take, for instance, comfort food, let's take a simple, I don't know, somewhere at the side of the road, a shack that you serve simple meals. Well, obviously, you cannot charge a lot for it. So that's one negative about the comfort food. Obviously, it's more simpler, it's cheaper to produce, but obviously you cannot sell it for millions, right? But then again, obviously, fine dining costs more on the menu, the prices are much higher, but then again, you put a lot more effort in it, a lot more work hours, and have a lot more costs. So, the truth be told, it's a very comparable thing. It's the location that decides whether you should go for one or another. It's your target group, so you should do your market research, see what you're aiming for, what the niche is, what people around you are looking for, and then decide whether to go for comfort food or fine dining. This is what should be deciding, not whether you want it or not, really. Like, obviously, if you do something with passion, then you should go for it, but honestly, making a fine dining restaurant somewhere in the middle of the desert, obviously joking, well, won't bring you much money. Even if you serve the best food in the world, well, it's the location that decides. So these are basically these two things that you have to take into consideration. So basically, if you have a small village, let's say, or a small town with not many rich people really, then you shouldn't go for fine dining because you won't have guests for it. Probably simple food will be much better and will bring much more money to you, to your business. So this is basically the difference between fine dining and comfort food. It's the effort and the amount of hours, working hours, and of course the quality of ingredients. Let me just put it to you this way. If you have a comfort food place, no one will appreciate that octopus that you bring from overseas, halfway around the world, but they will appreciate that chicken schnitzel. The other way around, if you do fine dining, no one will appreciate that, you know, chicken schnitzel. They will appreciate that octopus you bring from halfway the world. So that's pretty much the difference. I see the questions coming in, so let's switch into answer mode. All right. William is asking, does fine dining have to be more expensive than comfort food? It's what I already explained. Obviously and unfortunately, it will be more expensive. Just for instance, a fine dining kitchen, well, it can be small, you can reduce the costs, but you still have to give your guests that wow factor. So you have to do these chips, those powders, gels, and all that kind of stuff that will just simply well, bring the dish out, right? So everything costs more money. Obviously, you can use techniques which are slightly less expensive, that will make the dish pop out, but still every little bit will cost you extra money. So to answer your questions, William, yes, fine dining will always be more expensive than comfort food, really. Johnny is asking, can the aesthetics of fine dining and traditional cuisine be combined? Obviously they can. I personally made an effort once in a restaurant to do so. What I did is basically I tried to make the dishes as simple as possible and giving them that extra touch, a bit of extra plating on, you know, just to enhance the looks a little bit. And obviously, well, it was a success. It was a great success. People loved it, but then again, I had a lot of comments that, you know, people, what they essentially got was that, let's keep that example of a schnitzel. When I made the schnitzel, it was still just a schnitzel. And for that extra effort, I had to charge extra money. So I had some of, you know, customers not really complaining, but commenting that they're not getting full value for money. Eventually, I managed to combine these two. Well, there is another way to do it. It's called semi-fine dining. It's actually fine dining and comfort food combined with, combined together. So what it is basically you still keep the technique of plating, but you give that extra bit of garnish, or try to deconstruct something, or give a bit of extra flavor here and there. Well, basically there are a lot of ways to do that, and you know, I know a lot of places that actually successfully combine fine dining and comfort food. So it is possible, and I believe comfort food, as it worked for a lot of years before, well, it should be slowly changed to semi-fine dining, really, because people eat more and more with their eyes. It is more and more relevant to make those dishes look really appealing. First of all, because the trends are changing. So I don't know if you noticed, well, if you work in the restaurant business, you surely did notice. What the customers do first, they get the dish, they make a picture. They post it on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media. So it is really, really important because it's like a commercial you don't have to pay for. So it is really important to make those dishes look really beautiful and apply some fine dining techniques and methods to make that comfort food look really, really good. Henry is asking, a diner or an exclusive restaurant, what's the fastest way to make a profit? And this is a very, very tricky question. A fine diner, well, will serve, well, that's what the location is what I was talking about. So basically what happens is when you do your market research, you have to make sure what's happening around your potential place, location. So if you have a lot of traffic, if you have a lot of crowd movement, then a diner would probably be the best solution, because then you have the quantity compensating for low price, low profit margin. Because in a diner you have to do more to get more. In a fine dining setup, while you do less customers with higher profit margin and higher prices. So it's all about the crowd movement to just make out what it is, what's happening around you, and then decide. Wrongfully, people think that a simple diner would bring more money, but when the location is wrong, where there's not much crowd movement, the diner will sit empty, and that's not a good thing. So the fine diner requires less customers to achieve the same thing, but it is more expensive, so we'll have less clients, less customers. So that's how it works. Ben is asking, how many hours do the employees have to work, and do they have to close the restaurants for 1 day a week? I'll be totally honest with you. I believe the more complicated, more sophisticated the restaurant and the menu, the more it is relevant and important to have that 1 day off. Obviously, it's not the 1 day off completely. People will still work in the restaurant, but they will focus on preparing, on making that mise en place, to filling those shelves in those fridges, to make sure everything is there. So when you start service, let's say on Tuesday, you will have fully stocked fridges and so on. In a simple cuisine with a decent but not overly constructed menu, you don't need that 1 day off. Although I have to say, from my personal experience, a 1 day off a week, a compulsory day off in a week, is very advantageous. I mean, in that 1 day off, you can do a lot of work done. Such as cleaning. I used to work in places where we used to do deep clean on that 1 day. Because it's something that you rarely have time for during a week when you have still ongoing traffic. And honestly, in order to have humane work, work situation in your place going on, you cannot force your staff after 12 hours to clean that kitchen to the scratch, like to the ground, right? So that 1 day off is priceless. You can still maintain the hygiene. You can, put those fridges apart and take the shelves out and do stuff that you don't have time during the week, and still get some work done and be prepared for the rest of the working days. So how many hours do the employees have to work? It depends on the law in your country, but honestly, I believe the better rested the staff, the better the product, the end product. So basically, if you have really relaxed chefs who are motivated, and you have your floor staff motivated and really rested, then your customer service is much better and the end product is much better. When you have tired chefs and tired work staff, floor staff, then obviously your customer service is not the best, because people will have their moods, and they have worse days and so on. And of course, it's the same in the kitchen. When people are tired, they often make mistakes. So the 1 day off in the restaurant business, I believe it is essential. It works for any other businesses. All the corporations have 2 days off. All the offices have 2 days off. And I honestly also believe the restaurants and food trucks and whatever in hospitality industry should also have 1 compulsory day off, or actually a loose day, let's say. Jessica, is there no third way, and can people change their habits? Everyone wants pizza, and that's why it's in every town. There's no point in pretending that something else is going to happen, is there? The way I understand your question, Jessica, is if people love pizza, why not make all the places in this city a pizza place? It's not how it works. If you overfill the market with pizza places, everyone would lose, because people will eventually get tired of pizza, even though it's the most favorite snack in the world, even though it's the most popular snack in the world, even though people love pizza. Eventually, when there's only pizza to choose from, people will get tired of it, and even if you have the best pizza place in the town, it will well, the traffic will go down eventually. So it's good to get some changes going on, give something a diverse menu product on the market. This way people can choose from it, whether it's Italian, whether it's pizza, whether it's hamburgers, whether it's fine dining. And even if there's no place for a fine diner in a village, it doesn't mean there's no market for it. So what I personally experienced, I actually have a failed business in my experience. I put a pizza place where there's a lot of pizza places around it, and it was really hard to fight against that competition. It was just simply, eventually, the costs just overthrown the whole thing. I would be much better off if I made a really elegant place in that place, because people are asking for it. And there's no other place like this where I put my business in. So, to answer your question, Jessica, you have to just look around in your town, in your potential localization, and just see what's there. Just because there's a lot of pizza places doesn't mean your pizza place will be the one that people will go to, because they have so many others to choose from. If you make something different, well, you will eventually, and you have a good product obviously, then people will divert into your place. You will divide the traffic, and people will have the choice they require. So obviously, well, absolutely, it is essential for the industry to have as diverse landscape as possible in order to make it really appealing for the customer. All right. These are all the questions, so I thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any other questions, just write us on the email below. We will try to answer them either personally, or we make another entry live to answer all those questions. Again, I invite you for our other entries, for our other shows at 12 o'clock and 1:30 with other topics. And obviously, check out the timetable for our other entries. Thanks a lot again, and I'll see you next time.